Hi, and welcome to this next video where we'll be focusing on making the kick drum for this track. And just before we actually head into building our kick with kick 2, I think I'm just going to clarify a little bit about Leftfield Techno and what we actually mean perhaps by this. There's some really great music out there at the moment, techno, house, among other things, that just can't quite be pigeonholed. So much so that record stores, music sites, and the press have been coining terms like leftfield house or techno, which really covers a whole spectrum of sounds and vibes, but draws on familiar elements from all kinds of dance and electronic mainstays. And I think it creates some interesting and unique music. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff out there at the moment that just can't quite fit into a box, but we still use the basic elements of dance music and electronic music to make these kind of different strains or variants of dance music. And these tracks, this style of music as well, they get a really good rinse on the dance floor and in the headphones alike. I mean, there's a lot of stuff actually at the moment getting classified in this. But regardless of style, the kick drum is essential, and it's good to get this right. You can jam all you like, but if your kick drum isn't sitting with your mix, it can be a really, really frustrating experience. So it's always best, to start with the kick. I think not in terms of being creative, not even in terms of writing a track, but when you want to get things ordered, because the kick is going to be occupying such a big part of your frequency spectrum, the whole band, you would be wise always to come up with a kick that's going to pretty much work. You can always fine tune it later, you can effect it later, you can do a lot of stuff, but a good logical way of doing things is to get something happening with a kick drum towards the beginning, so you don't run into any problems later. We're going to use the default from kick 2 here today. And I think in another tutorial I explained the basic mathematics of how to create the correct kick drum to fit your BPM, also to fit the key that you're working in. It's an easy equation of 60, as in 60 seconds in a minute, divided by your BPM. But kick 2, obviously here, if you have a look, if we start pulling this out, we can make it, there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's dividing it perfectly there. That is exactly a whole beat. And it's really good to have this visual thing when you're trying to create a kick drum. Now, first things first, let's go back here. Because we brought in when we were setting up the project, we brought in a sample. It's using the BPM of the sample, actually. Let's go and change our BPM to 128. Look, BPM, you can choose whatever you want. I mean, you know how it is. It depends on what you want to do and whatnot. But I really feel 128 is a nice... a nice compromise. You can mix this kind of BPM into a house set. You can pitch it up a little bit, play it in a techno set, and a whole bunch of other different little variants of house and techno music. It's a good BPM, and it's going to maintain enough energy. We're not making a slow motion track here. We are creating something with energy. And let's go back into our kick now, and you can have a look. The length has changed a bit because of the BPM. So we can make it this long. Now, we are going to do this track using G. The reason why I use G is G, you can see here, G1 is around 48, 49 hertz. That is on a big system. It's not pure sub bass, but it is full, usually the information when you have a kick drum where you've got a lot of 48, 49 hertz, there's a lot of sub material, but you can also create quite a punch still with a kick with a G. Obviously, it's easy as well if you're playing things with a normal sort of scale in G or C or something like that. I've just found from experience that G is a really great place to have a kick drum. I use the ones in F, I use some slightly high every now and again, but let's just say for all intents and purposes, this is a way to go here. So let me just get this about right there. That looks good. And bring this down to G. And what we're going to do is, this is quite high here. We can have a listen quickly. Let's just make a pattern. Very simple. And that's probably going to clip the video as well. Great thing is, we can just control the volume a bit here. Let's bring it down. -6 is good. We had a very tight click on there, so maybe we can bring this down a bit too. G6 is still quite clicky up the top there, but it's not too high frequency. And I'm just going to drag it a bit so we get a bit there. I mean, G, we were talking about C before, we can use G3. Let's have a listen. And already you can hear that's a pretty clean standard kick. It's sort of got a little bit of a nice 8080 boom there, and it's got a little bit of punch in it also. Now look, I always like to go to the amp at this stage after we get this first bit out of the way and start having a listen to how the actual waveforms are going amplitude wise. We can bring that transient point, focus it there. And by adjusting the tail there, you can hear it. So this is a thing that you can fine tune as you go further through. Sometimes your pitch is there, but sometimes you want to change the length just slightly to match your bass line, to match other parts of your track. Our thing here is to get this kick right where we've got enough punch, we've got enough boom, it's nice and clean, and it's something that we can use as we go in the track. I like to use a kick drum as a metronome, actually, a lot of the time. I mean, your neighbors won't like it, your housemates might not like it, your studio partners might not like it, but using a kick as a metronome is a really good thing to keep hearing that everything's sitting nice in your mix as you're being creative. And it just rules out having mega problems later. But yeah, I mean, the other thing I want to look at is the click. That was quite loud, that click up the top. Let's do it again. What you can do is just go in kick 2 and turn the kick down, down like this, and turn it really down. Give it a little bit of a decay there, but really turn it down. And that's sounding pretty good. I mean, the default comes with a bit of drive. I like the amount of drive we've got there. There's also distortion down here. Got about 50% in the mix. And also we have it sort of low pass, high pass, so it's directly in the middle there. But we haven't added any distortion yet. And a distortion is always great to make things cut through the mix. And we want a bit of bite on this kick. So let's have a listen. And it's still clean. It's not distorting. You don't have too much boom. The tail's not too long. It's working. The last little thing I'd like to do here as well is check our EQ, which is already on. You can see this blue button here. We're going to edit it a bit. Okay, it's notched out a bit down here. Let's put that up there and let's hear it flat. I like that. It's got more presence, more signal down there. But maybe a bit up the top, I just want to notch out, well, not even completely notch out, just decrease a little bit of that click still. and you can hear it's doing its job, that little niche. So just about here somewhere, I can hear just something very small, but at this point, don't go in and boost your kick. Don't go in and make it big and huge and boost the EQ. Maybe just fine tune a few little things. And we'll double check here that it is actually in G. So kick 2 is telling us it's in G, the tuner's telling us it's in G, and we've got the utility on it. If you want to be double checking that it's mono, of course you can click this on there. There's going to be no phase issues. It's a very mono signal. And the last thing I want to do is go back in, and we're running all of it on G1 here. Perhaps I just want just a little bit of that sub coming from even below G1, like down here in the nether regions. We can just that last little bit, bring it down to G0. And what that actually does is, instead of that big long boomy sine wave tail happening there, it's really just dropping down into the sub depths there. But it gives that energy a bit to the kick, and I'm pretty happy with that. So we can save it. Obviously you can go into save here. You don't want to save it as the current preset, perhaps. So we can save it as left field in G, for example, in user presets. I think I've already got something in there. So let me have a look here. User presets, left field in G. No, I've used something else in there. So yeah, well, now we have the kick drum for the whole project ready to go.
Thanks everybody for watching, commenting, and indeed liking. We really do appreciate all the support we get here on our Sonic Academy YouTube channel. So if you found this video super useful, please, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. We update the YouTube channel every week with new content. And if you want to watch some more relevant content, just click on the videos beside me.